Helsinki Adobe expression of how do we get creatives not to hate DAMs? Because creative wants to do the business of their own. They're not connected to a DAM. They don't want to be connected to a DAM. So, referring to Jared's speak, silos. So how do we work with these silos? Not only in data, but in persons. And for that, I'll invite CI Hub's CEO, Andreas Michalski, to give a presentation of how we can work this out.
Perfect.
Welcome.
Happy to do that. Does it work? Yeah? Perfect. Okay, I have to take this one. So the first thing, apologize for being late in the morning. The amazing thing on traveling is you travel in different time zones and you don't see that. I was looking German TV and it had 8 o'clock and I said, oh, 8 o'clock, I can have some breakfast. And then I said, oh, it's 9 o'clock already. I should hurry up a little bit. Okay, yeah, thank you for giving us the opportunity today to be here with all the online folks and with all of you here in the room. It's really great to travel and to enjoy people in a room. That's amazing. Actually, my title is a little bit misleading because we are not really specialized or interested in breaking silos, because we all know that breaking silos is very it's very costly. You have to spend millions to get your corporate data working together. And so actually what we do, we call it user-based silo crossing, and you had that in your amazing presentation in the beginning. It's actually all about don't care where the data is, just have it when you need it. That's actually what we do. At the end, it's all about data. Yeah, data is driving us crazy, and data is the most relevant thing. And if we think about data, we thought when we started CI Hub, and this is just 2 years ago, how can we really focus on the user rather than on a silo? So the idea behind that was if we can help users work smarter, then we should not focus on the source where the data is in, but we should focus on the application the user is using to get access to all of these data. So after about 20 years of working with let's say, marketing automation tools and building an application that if a company uses that is amazing, if not, and it's just adding to the tech stack, we thought, let us build plugins, integrations, extensions, whatever you want to name it, and build them right where the user really needs them. We start focusing, because we didn't know better, on the Adobe products, and we said, okay, let's bring the asset to the user. And when in the last 20 years we listened to our users, what is the main thing? The main thing was, yes, they had plugins, and plugins are amazing, but they got the plugin from, let's say, I don't want to hurt someone, but let's say I have a plugin from the DAM vendor A, whatever, yeah? And we figured out that most of the DAM vendor A developed that plugin just to have it to fill in an RFP that he has it. But it was never intended that the user feels really great with that plugin, that he loves that plugin. It was something what a DAM vendor needed to have to make a check mark somewhere. So we thought, why not think about a plugin that people really love and that solves really issues? And that plugin we developed started with InDesign, and then we did Photoshop and Illustrator and After Effects and Premiere Pro, and then we thought, another huge user group, and she's actually a lot bigger than the Adobe guys, is how about making that stuff available in PowerPoint and Word and Outlook? Never thought that Outlook could be interesting. And now it's also available in Google Space. So, but why? Because if we think about data, then all of these marketing tech applications, which It's more and more and more. We saw that. I love that chart from the MarTech guys, 8,000 silos. Isn't it great? Yeah. It's an unbelievable source of work we can do. It creates really lots of opportunities because if you have data, then you can do amazing things. If you think what he said about DAM 4.0, if the system is intelligent enough to predict things, it's great. It doesn't work without data. So these opportunities are really great because if put into the creative process and into the creative productivity, then we could imagine that, you know, people in the field could do things more easily themselves without needing specialists to do manual stuff. This is just ridiculous. So if this all really works, we wouldn't be here. Yeah? Because it would just work, the vendors would deliver what they promise, and you wouldn't need that event, you would just sit in your office and drink a coffee. But the reality is, I like that word, data gets siloed. And it gets siloed for so many different reasons, actually. And we have heard that. There are structural issues. There is just, the network is not really working. There is data in different formats, in different systems that just doesn't fit together. There are political reasons. We all know that, yeah? There is the guy from the other department, he has all the data I would like to have, but he's not giving them to me because I don't know. Or, yeah, maybe they want to give it to me because it's, you know, it's a competitor, yeah, but he has all of the data. We know what Amazon does with all of our data. There's the growth issue. That's the most nice one, I think. Yeah, you're buying companies at a level where you can't keep up with getting all the data in one system. Yeah, because if you have managed to do that, and I'm pretty sure that the Bosch guys can talk about that a lot. You're happy and said, yo, great! I have managed getting all my data in my central repository. And there's the next company coming with something completely different. And the last one is you have a vendor log. Be honest, if you're a vendor, you like having your customer for a very long time. And you help them stay with you. Or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And maybe some DAM 1.0 systems are just not built in a way that you have an amazing API and you can just interact with the world. So these are all really, really, really valuable reasons why that is. But at the end, it leads to something. It leads that data isolation makes it hard to build a complete view around your customer, around your process, about what you really want to do with the data. It makes it more complex. Yeah, we all know, we're all looking for simplicity, and different systems in different regions with different technology makes it more complex. And we do see, some of them have a Mac here, we see that the amount of devices and the amount of channels will grow. It's inevitable, We will see more of these systems, and just imagine what happened with your data if we really will experience something like a metaverse in a couple of years. It's unbelievable what we have to do and how our data needs to be prepared to be in these kind of platforms. And there will still be a real world beside metaverse, we assume, at least. The inability of sharing data is complex, and at the end, it lacks the processes, which means more systems, more channels, all of that stuff. It at the end makes it more complex. At the end, it wouldn't be really a problem because everybody who has his silo is more or less happy with his silo. It's just the others, yeah. But at the end, it has an impact. It has an impact, and that impact is we cannot really create the creative work we could if we would have all the data. It is a risk for my project goals if I'm responsible for my CEO that I have to deliver campaign or customer journey that implies that I have all of that data. It's actually a risk for me. And at the end, the overall success for all of our endeavors relates to the situation that I can work with different data. Okay, all of that said, we took a different approach to that thing, and I wouldn't say it's helping DAM 1 moving quicker to DAM next, yeah? It's our idea to say, okay, if we can't spend these millions right now to consolidate all of that, and even if I spend these millions, it takes some time. So wouldn't it be great to have something what my people, and we call them the creative minds or the creative thinkers, and that could be someone in PowerPoint the same way as it put someone in Photoshop or Illustrator, could we help them with what they really want? Because they don't really care if it's a silo or if it's a database or how it's called. I just need all of that stuff to finish my work. I want to go home, actually. So we thought about build these plugins. And with these plugins, we could, and I think Bill Gates said that, information's at your fingertips, create a very simple way on how to connect to all of these different systems. And I have a short video because it's better than to explain all of that stuff, is what you see there. I'm in my InDesign. It's regardless of where you are, it's always looking the same. I connect to the 3 different things I need to finish my work. I'm connecting to a Dropbox. I'm connecting to a Getty Images system. And I'm connecting to a PIM system, I think. And this is not cut it down in the time. This is how long it would take to connect to these 3 different systems. And if I have connected to these different systems, I can now just scroll through these systems. It's completely transparent to me. I never have to remember the passwords. I just establish that connection. I can even save that connection and load it in my PowerPoint with the same configuration. And now I just see my different folders. I scroll through my folders and I can see actually all of that stuff. We're now saving my profile of integrations to a secure space, and then I could now move over to PowerPoint and load my profile. Because a profile is something that we've learned is important. If you're creative or if you're in a certain environment, you're not really jumping around different systems. You have a set of systems where you get your stuff. Maybe your DAM system, your PIM system, your stock system, and maybe a rights management system or workflow system. So you just connect to that stuff, and there it is, path. Yeah, takes a minute to connect to these silos, which becomes not longer a silo, it's a source of information we can access. Okay, if we have created all of these functionalities and connections to these different systems, and imagine you're an agency, yeah? If you're part of a corporate team, let's say if you're in Bosch, yeah, you maybe have these 3 sources. Imagine if you're an agency, you work for 10 different customers. What does it mean? It means I get my data from 30 different sources. Wonderfully to manage. I have a whole list of passwords and URLs and all of that stuff. So that's all covered, yeah? Even if you're an agency, you build your spaces and you say, okay, now I'm working for BMW, and you get the connections to the right assets you just need on your fingertip. If I have all of these connections, what can I do? And the next step we think is, if you have all of these connections, you should be more productive. Because, and this is what actually Gert does, he's now accessing his Dropbox, he sees his InDesign files, he immediately see all of the pages in the InDesign file without even opening that InDesign file, which makes him more productive. And he's actually, in that case, creating a small template for something what we all would love to do, I think, traveling, going to the sun. So he's pulling an image, and he had a full text search in the Dropbox finding these images. And now he works with a snippet. So a snippet is actually a set of InDesign frames combined, and these snippets can be put into any DAM system and then just pulled to create a legal footer in your InDesign document, or even in your PowerPoint. And then you can jump around all of these things, and it's not just working with assets, it's also work with videos, and whatever you have in your amazing DAM system can be pulled in here. And I think he's now searching for similar assets in Getty, because I think he has used that in so many demos for me that he said, no, I should use a different image. And it's a function built in. If you have an image in your InDesign document or in PowerPoint and you click with the right button on it, it gives you the option to find a similar one in Getty, in Shutterstock, in wherever you want it. And even if you have a DAM system 2.0, which includes similarity search, you could even find similar images in the DAM system. And that makes it really, really easy. And it's DAM 2.0, I've learned, because at the end, if he's finished with his work, it would be really easy to share that work with his colleagues by uploading it again into the storage. Everybody could see the different images. He would also see different versions of that asset. So if someone's working in Illustrator in the meantime to change images, he immediately would give you the ability to identify, oh, there's a newer image and I should use that image. And then he's uploaded all of that stuff, and someone else could actually do the next step. Because if you have all the connectivity and you can, be more productive, best thing would be actually to automate stuff so you don't have to do it. And that's also built in the CI app connector. You actually get a real small database publishing functionality included. And that would be automation. So how about, wouldn't it be great if I could use this travel brochure and create now a website or an individualized copy of that for a certain destination with something like a database publishing function. And that's great. You just go to that CI panel, you select different images, it automatically creates you a serial production file. There's actually a function in InDesign which is called data merge. And with data merge, you can just now assign the database entries to that template. And if you have done that, it now creates a flyer, a brochure, a web page for each of that database records. And if you click on a button, it creates you a brochure or whatever in just a flyer. And this really gives you the ability to not just use your data side where you have that stuff with that plugin to make your work easier, but it also can automate that stuff and deliver personalized information to your audience. And you can absolutely upload that stuff again into your system and then share it with colleagues or push it to a website or wherever. Yeah, and you see he's creating PDFs out of it, I think, and it's really, really, really simple. This is just here to give you an overview what you can do on a desktop or in your application already, and you do not need to worry where your data is. Yeah, and you see there is data coming from a corporate repository like logos, but there can be also product data from a PIM system where you have your prices and your details automatically there. And you never have left the application you're familiar with. And it doesn't matter if you're in InDesign or Photoshop or in one of these programs. You see, now we have these amazing different personalized things. It's just there. Yeah, you never have bothered someone with, oh, you have to go somewhere and you have to ask. It's just there, and that's actually the idea behind all of that, what we're doing. In that case, just to wrap that up, everything what I've shown you is the beginning. Yeah, imagine our product is out there for about a year, a little bit more than that, and there are gazillions of things we have in mind to do to help users work with their data if they come from an amazing asset management system. And it's not just that, and you see, these are a couple of systems we're already working with. So everything what I've showed you, you get with all of these systems already. And we believe it's not just the access to the assets in the system, but it's also access to services. If you look on that chart, there is somewhere, there's Adobe Workfront as a first integration to show that. And our friends from Ceridian, we have integrated their workflow functionalities in the plugin, which means if someone is assigning you a task, hey Andy, please retouch that image or create me a brochure, I'm not going into that system to take a look and then take that asset and go back to my application. It's in my application. I start my Photoshop and I get the jobs I need to get done in a list. I get the asset, I open that asset, I work on that asset, I'm finished, I put it back into my Ceridian system, work is done, I go home, period. Yeah, very simple. We've just partnered with the Gelato guys, means you're in your PowerPoint and you need to have a PowerPoint printed in China 50 times. You push a button, you get a quote in PowerPoint based on that asset you're working on, and if you order them, it will be printed in China 50 times and delivered to your Sheraton. Or what is also nice, in the third line at the end, you see the FEDL guys. That is our first implementation of digital rights management. So if you're creating a brochure and your boss says, you know, that brochure needs to be published on social media in China next week, you push a button and you get the detailed info if all of the assets you're using are legally able to be published in that region, because that system has all of your contract information regarding that asset. So you see, the idea of bringing data together where you really need it is really empowering people to work a lot smarter, and they don't have to worry about where does all of this stuff comes from. And this is our first idea on how we think it would be cool for a user to bust the silos by just crossing them. Yeah? It's a lot easier, and actually it's a lot cheaper. That's all. I hope that was fast enough to give you early access to your coffee and your goodies. And if there is a question, I'm happy to answer that.
Yes.
No question.
Hi.
Hi.
About that InDesign automation, can you use asset metadata? Can you use it with the data merge in InDesign?
Yes, absolutely. It would be useless without it, right? Yes. Sir?
Thank you for the very good presentation. It was
Thank
very
you.
interesting. And then because I'm also doing creatives, so I was wondering, like, when you have the plugin, we say to Shutterstock. So how about, do you have access to all Shutterstock images or only to those that you already bought with your credits?
Would you like to have that?
Yeah, but I mean, then it's like an internal question, like what kind of Shutterstock account you have, or any other image bank. So, I mean, the workflow looks like really nice, but then again, do you really have access to all the photos? Like if you're doing editorial or non-editorial content, so you might use a wrong kind of image or.
Okay, the good answer for that is you have access to everything what you want based on the account you're using against Shutterstock. And if you have already purchased assets, the plugin will give you an information, a small green dot, on all the images in your search that you already have purchased.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you.
I hope so. Perfect, we get coffee.
Other questions? No. You want to have coffee, I see. Thanks. Second. This was amazing. In my opinion, this is really something new. Think about it. Only 2 years ago, these solutions didn't exist. They were, you had some plugins, but this kind of plugin didn't exist. And I think this is a major development. And also, I think that regarding going forward to DAM 4.0, we always have to think about money. And how can you work faster in between the fact when you have then decided that you have the budget to work on. So I think this was really interesting. Thank you very much.
The amazing thing is you don't really need a big budget to use that.
Yeah.
We said, when we started developing that, our goal was to deliver the best plugin for the best possible price. We believe that an individual should start with €1 to get that plugin and use it. And if you're a corporate, it's really inexpensive compared to the millions you have to spend otherwise. Yeah. So, yeah. Perfect.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
We will have a break now, and we will continue at 11:10. So until then.